Yeah, it's 30 years, right? So
30
that's
years,
what
you
it
learn a
is.
couple of things,
time.
right? If you're
The
persistent.
different markets, right? I mean, right now we're going through something that 90 something percent of mortgage people just haven't dealt with. They just haven't gone through this. And so those calls they're getting for the first time, they're thinking, geez, what do I tell these people?
Yeah, well, this isn't something I haven't seen before. It's quite troubling this time around because I think the lack of understanding of what can happen just isn't there, both by homeowners and the professionals themselves that are serving them. And that's just a dangerous cocktail when people aren't given a full perspective of what can happen. And I've said this many times before. The stress test when it came out was vilified by our industry. Both realtors, both lenders, they thought it was unfair. And when you look back on it, it could very well be the unsung hero in all this, and probably
Interesting how that
protected people
worked,
from
isn't it?
themselves.
Yeah, Aussie. Huh.
Almost like
They
they
know a few
knew
things
something
about
was
lending.
coming.
Huh.
Yeah,
Who would have
like
thought?
maybe. Yeah.
Hey?
But
Well,
hold on. Did you or anyone you know ever imagine a scenario where they raised this intensely, this fast?
no, like anyone who predicted the pace of these hikes would just be bullshitting you.
Right. How do you
I thought
prepare for that though? Like who could be ready for this crazy smack?
I really thought there would be 3 to 4 hikes last year, and I based my assumption or my prediction on the fact that in March 2020 we saw 150 basis point drop, three drops of 50 basis points in 1 month to try to help folks out during that the onset of COVID. So I really thought that the initial hikes would have brought those hikes back. Those initial drops would have
Right.
been given back to the
Back
market,
to zero,
and
yeah.
we get back to the two what was it? We were at, I think we're at 395, and then we
That's
artificially
healthy.
dropped it down to 245, which is the retail prime, right? So I really thought we'd get back to 395 quite quickly, but I wouldn't think that they go this hard. Um, but inflation just got a hand. The stimulus packages that were doled out were just excessive. And listen, we saw the savings rate go up to 27%, unprecedented. We saw credit card debt drop from 90 billion down to 73 billion during COVID. And now it's back up to 93 billion again, right? So,
Yeah.
savings rates are dropping, credit card usage is up. This is a perfect storm for a disaster. And if people aren't looking at those numbers and a little bit concerned, I'm not sure what to tell them.
And what do you take from this week's announcement? So here we are. It's the weekend of the 11th and 12th in March. This week, we had an announcement from Bank of Canada that put a pause on the rate hikes. So what can we tell from that announcement this week? Like, how does the Bank of Canada view the economy, the market, the resilience of consumers, or the effect of the previous rate hikes that they've already made?
Well, I think the Bank of Canada is influenced a little bit by both the feds and the bankers to a degree. We saw some data come out from CIBC where you're seeing $72 billion of their portfolio just in a shit show with amortizations in excess of 30, 35 years, just ridiculous numbers.
Yeah. No
And
interest paid on payments, and
yeah,
principals are growing. That's
just
crazy.
bizarre, just
Yeah.
bizarre from a risk perspective. And Tiff let the cat out of the bag when he indicated that there's going to be a pause. What's interesting though is I think the next day or that afternoon, Carolyn Rogers, the deputy governor, was in Winnipeg, and she made it very clear that the pause is conditional. And that tells me we're probably in for some hikes coming down the road.
Conditional upon financing.
Pretty much. So, but
Yeah.
the data points are ugly, and I think people just gotta be fully understanding of the fact that this is gonna be a long road.